Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Fatima, Coach Fatima with OutstandingPersonalRelationships.com. And in this particular video, although it might be pretty short, I wanted to come in and talk about clearing your spiritual mental clutter. I've been asked this a lot, and you'll notice that I start my videos off that way because I've been asked a lot of questions such as those as an initial wife. How do you get through your mental clutter and your stuff? And I had to learn that I had to kind of self-evaluate and see where I was spiritually and where I needed to be. What was my goal spiritually? How did I want to show up in this world? Did I want to show up as somebody that was just hurt and bitter and defeated? Or did I want to show up as someone that was a champion, that made it through, that taught others, that had that really fulfilling life? That's who I wanted to be. I had the goal to dig deep and see who I could become, because I was like, this is not me. And it's interesting because people that know me were saying that I wasn't representing myself properly. So I decided I'm going to represent myself properly. But that started with checking myself and rethinking my thinking, rethinking those assumptions, unlearning what I had taught myself that was negative about being in polygyny, being in marriage, period, being a mom, being a co-wife. I had to unlearn everything else and replace it with good stuff. And that's been a mission that I've been on probably, I'd say, for the past 7 years, when I really got out of everything and the dust had kind of settled, because I knew that's not who I wanted to be. So I just decided not to be the worst representation of me that I had created. It's like creating this persona, this caricature of who I was based off of, you know, my husband getting married again. I didn't want to be so invested in his life that it ruined my spirituality. And I started to see that because I found that him entering polygyny brought him closer to Allah, and me being the wife on the receiving end of that, being upset and all that stuff, I started to kind of distance myself from Allah. And then I was like, oh no, this is not what I'm supposed to do. This is not what I'm designed to do. This is not what I'm allowed to do. So I looked at my punishment. I looked at polygyny as a punishment for me personally early on. And I said, no. After I got myself together, checked myself, and reevaluated who I was looking like, I said, no, I'm not being punished. I'm being rewarded. And that's important, because thoughts are things, and what we tell ourselves is important. If I sit there and go, you know what, they're going to win, and, you know, this is his family, and this is not for you, and this is just going to wreck your spirituality, and you're going to distance yourself more and more from your culture, from your way of life. Thoughts are things. So I decided, no, this is for my culture. I'm going to support it. I'm going to be a champion for myself, try my best to help others be closer to their husbands, closer to their family, closer to their children, closer to the Creator. And I'm going to have a spiritual calendar set up. So what I did is I had these goals were really tiny at the beginning. Like, say something nice to somebody was, especially our husband. Say something nice to him today. You know, celebrate our wins and not just look at these things as losses, but lessons. So that's what I decided to do. And with being a coach in polygyny and marriage, I know that there's no perfection and you can't please everybody. So stop trying, you know. But that didn't mean I had to be a jerk or teach people to be a jerk or teach people to act stupid or less than, or, you know, or ignorant, or not be honest with how they felt about things. Because when you're honest, that's when you can deal with stuff better. When you start being honest with yourself. So I started every day talking about the realities that I had in my life. Okay, we're in polygyny. What are we going to do now to make this the best situation possible, to make this the best family possible? That doesn't mean we're the best. That doesn't mean we don't have drama. That doesn't mean we don't have trials and tribulations, that we all get along every second of the day. That's not true. We're still people. We're still a family. So my kids argue. I rarely argue with my co-wife. I don't think we've ever had, you know, I mind my marriage, she minds her marriage. We do our best to just support each other, like support each other for real. And not, this is not a competition. And I'll be doggone if I make it a competition. That helps my spirituality, understanding, okay, Fatima, you're a person. You're allowed to feel the way you feel, but that doesn't mean you got to feel that way all the time. And then I started saying, okay, I want to look at the good in the situation instead of finding the challenge in the situation or a problem. I want to be part of the solution. And I know enough to know that my children wouldn't always be small. The majority of the children that I gave birth to are grown-ups, like full-on grown-ups, paying their own bills, doing their own thing, working their own jobs. And then I have my children that are not quite adults yet, but big enough to understand when grown-up people have screwed something up and decided not to fix it. And then I have my beautiful 8-year-old son. So I want him to see a spiritually strong mother who is adding value to her family, to her friends, to her community. Not somebody that's defeated and bitter. Now, just because I was that way, and he was little, but just because I was that way before, that didn't mean I couldn't control my reaction to things and change who I wanted to be. And things got better from then on out. I started to offer my salats more sincerely, more timely, with more dua, with more consideration of how somebody else is feeling and what it's like for them. I wasn't just making dua for me anymore. I was making dua for my family, for our husband, for my co-wife, for our babies, for our bonus babies, for my friends. People that were like, I'm not used to seeing them together. I'm like, you know what? You don't have to be used to seeing them together at all. It's different for you because you're used to seeing me and him. But that doesn't mean seeing him with her is wrong. That's what it doesn't mean. So I found that when I became more spiritual and closer to Allah, my friends were more accepting of this whole polygynous dynamic, you know, my family dynamic, because knowing something has happened, or knowing I'm in polygyny, and then seeing us together on YouTube, on IG, in the streets, in the public, out at Eid with our husband, it hits differently, you know. So it's something a lot of people had to get used to. But when they see that you have boundaries, you know, and you want to do better, and you're trying. We're just a bunch of people that are trying. That made them feel good. And it makes us feel good. That the people that love us and support our family, that have been here for 20 plus years, you know, when my particular marriage started 25 years ago, are good because we've done the work. And we're still doing the work. We're not perfect people. We're still human beings. But our spiritual journeys are still ongoing. So it's something I've had to personally understand, that I needed to start living in the present and not in the past. Because my past doesn't need me. My future needs me. So I decided to get in the game of life and say, okay, let's be the best representation of Fatima you can be, and clear out that spiritual clutter, thinking I need to have everything figured out today. I need to be the perfect Muslim right now. I need to, you know, get rid of those assumptions of I have everybody else's stuff figured out and I really don't, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I need to speak and have a conversation with my Creator when I offer salat and ask for sincere dua. Two du'as that I made were for knowledge of polygyny and marriage and relationships and understanding of someone else's side. I didn't have it. I did not have it early on. I shut down. I didn't say nothing. I was quiet. We talk about that more all over YouTube, on our YouTube channel. We talk about it in our RMIC membership area, which is the Relationship Mastery Inner Circle. And my co-wife and I actually have a podcast. It's called Candid Co-wife Conversations, where we talk about all things through the eyes of co-wives. Those platforms are necessary. And I found that when I was honest with myself, that helped with my healing, it helped with my communication, and mainly it helped with my spiritual clutter. Because I had so much stuff going on in my head at one time. It was more than 10 women could take. So I decided not to do that to myself anymore and really be sincere about being a forward-thinking person. We got to move forward. We got to go. We don't have time for me to be in my ego and just sit in my ego and just stew in my ego. I didn't want to do that because it was harming me. It was harming my children. It was just harming our family as a whole. And I don't want to be the cause for harm to myself or my family or the people that love me. They're too valuable. They're too valuable to me for that. So, living in the past, I don't do that anymore. And I tell people, don't do it. Because we know what's back there. We don't have to keep reminding ourselves and reliving that stuff. We know what's back there. But just because there's like some hard things and some challenges back there, it doesn't mean there's not good back there. But there's more good times to be had. And I had to understand that. But I wanted to create those good times. I wanted to be more spiritual. I wanted to be closer to Allah. I remember being on a live with being part of Zakia's live, and she's an incredible author. She's a thought leader. I really love her writings. She's incredible. But when she talked about her story of struggle with spirituality, that hit home for me because I remember when I was going through that. But I know that spiritual clutter and not knowing what to do and getting clarity on what to do was super important. I had to, because I could see my children just, it was like to see them watch me mentally fragmenting was all that I could handle. So I found my why. My why was not being a person that wanted to sit in ego and bitterness and hurt, like I couldn't come out of it. You know, I wanted to come out of that, and I wanted to heal, and I wanted to help heal my family. So now, I remember my daughter, she's 23 now, but she said this when she was 21. When we started OPR, she said this again, and she said, you know, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of the work you guys are doing. Because she knows when we weren't doing this work and when it was difficult. So to have my child tell me that and compliment the three of us, really, because she was complimenting the three of us, but she did say she was proud of her mom. That meant so much to me. Not just because it was a compliment for my baby, but it was because I knew I had found growth, and I knew my daughter saw it. And that felt good, because that girl ain't gonna give you no compliment if she doesn't mean it. So that just made me feel so good. And I was proud of her for feeling that way and saying so and being honest. Because I know her enough to know she would have said, well, yeah, I don't know, I think you need to do a little bit more work. This could be better. But to see all three of us do this work and this labor of love to try to bring others together so that it's not so hard, so that it's not as challenging as it was for us, because it was a challenge. It was a fitna, it was a trial. But to work with my family and to bring good content to people and try to uplift people and take care of our children together. That just really, really, really makes my heart sing. Because I didn't think I'd be doing this work, and I didn't think I'd be on YouTube. And I remember our 8-year-old baby said, Abu's a YouTuber. Omi's a YouTuber. And it was just so cute, because I was such a private person. I didn't think I'd be doing this. But I'm glad I am. But it started with clearing out that spiritual clutter and getting clarity and creating those boundaries and understanding that I was going to make everybody happy, and it didn't matter how people felt about my growth and my growth journey. So if you got anything from this video, I really hope you did. Connect with us at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com. Join our RMIC membership with visiting us at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/RM for relationship mastery. Join our podcast, listen to our podcast, I should say. It's called Candid Co-Wife Conversations, where we talk about all things through the eyes of co-wives. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.